I'd like to talk about rewarding bad behavior and how I think parents get it wrong a lot and the impact it has in adulthood and just kind of what I've seen in myself and the way that I act and the way that kind of expect rewards for not being a total screw up. Um, as a kid, I was diagnosed really early on with ADHD or ADD at the time, and they was just said there was a behavioral issue and stuff. And fortunately for me, my mom didn't put me on medication to kind of just numb me, and I think she'd rather just have a adolescent kid than a zombie that's willing to behave, which I am extremely grateful for. I think kids with ADD, ADHD are just really misunderstood. And a lot of their behavioral issues and the way we reward them, I think, can lead to bad behavior as an adult in relationships and just all around. All around. Even when it comes to like jobs and work, and and I've seen this in like other friends of mine. I'm not going to name any names, and you could just tell they were a spoiled little brat that got away with everything as a kid, and mom is still holding their hand and they still get away with it because we reward bad behavior sometimes. And I want to talk about that and talk about how I've noticed it in my life, and kind of just go through like examples and stuff from like when I was a kid. And I kind of learned early on, I had mentioned in a previous video that I became oh, sorry, my phone's about to die. Very early on as a kid, I lost the fear of pain. Well, I learned that there was like levels to consequences. I was either going to get spanked, or I was going to get grounded, or I wasn't never going to be killed. You know what I mean? Like that was like the furthest they could take it was kill him, and they can't do that. So I just learned that, spanking wasn't that bad. I lost a fear of pain pretty early on. And I would just torture my mom till I got my way. She could whip my butt or whatever. But if there was something that I wanted, I was just going to antagonize her until she just caved, until she caved. And that was rewarding bad behavior. And so I learned that the consequences weren't that great for my actions. And if I was just a complete tyrant, I'd eventually get my way. And it kind of, started when I was a kid. I didn't want to be in school, so I'd get in trouble at school. And the outcome I wanted was to not be in school. That's what happens. You get thrown out of school. Okay, so that was rewarding bad behavior. Looking back on it is rewarding bad behavior. But I mean, what are the schools to do? Right? They can't just have this one kid in there that's causing all these problems. So they send him home. And then they put you, and then, you end up on homeschool. And if you're already running the show as a kid, you already got control over your parents with your bad behavior. You kind of, they're kind of prisoners to their kids when their kids are so adolescent like that. And I think it's just misunderstanding what those kids need, and what. So when I was very early on, 10, 11 years old, I was getting in a lot of trouble in school and da 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 da. And then I eventually outgrew that, and just I stopped getting in all that kind of trouble. And then I progressively just started getting into like drinking and partying and stuff. And then that got out of hand. And when that got out of hand, I quit drinking and everyone was like, "Oh, we're so proud of you. That's cool. You know, I'm glad that you decided to give it up and da 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 da." And I was basically getting rewarded for bad behavior again. You know, I was getting all this praise and all this accolades from all my friends and family, and everyone saw this big change in me. And it's kind of getting my life together and working and had a kid and was being a father. Fast forward another 10 years, here I am an addict, quitting, and the same thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're so brave and so good that you're doing this and da 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 da." And I just kept. It just feels like you're always getting rewarded for bad behavior, and then you start expecting it. You know, you start expecting. You start expecting to get rewarded for not bad behavior. Like, look, I did the dishes. What are you gonna do for me? You know, at work, I'm the top guy and boss is sitting up in the office making all the money. I'm not getting the accolades I want. You know, I'm not getting the praise that I want. Start throwing fits. Everyone's like, "Why are you walking around, get a chip on your shoulder all day and you're all grouchy all day?" Well, it's because you're not getting that reward that you're used to getting from your mom, from your dad, from teachers, from whoever. You're not getting that reward you're used to getting. And it's a real problem. It's a real problem, and I still see it in myself. You know, to this day, I'll do something and expect later on my wife is going to reward me. And that's not healthy, and it started from childhood. It started from I'd get in trouble for something at school. Say my mom had promised me to buy me a new bicycle that weekend. I'd get in trouble on, in the middle of the week at school, and instead of, "Well, you screwed up. Well, I'm not buying you a bike this weekend." I'm like, "You already made that promise about the bike. I got in trouble at school, so don't get me something else that I was gonna try to," you know what I mean? And she'd fall for it, or she wouldn't fall for it. I would just beat her up until she caved, until she just was like, "Fine, just shut him up." And that carried on in my adult life. It carried on in my adult life where when things aren't going my way, I just have a complete meltdown and lash out in anger. And, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to be angry than it is to like reflect on yourself, and be like, "Okay, this isn't healthy behavior." It's just easier to lash out and just be mad about it rather than reflecting like, why do I feel this way? Why do I think I should be rewarded for this? Why do I think every time I do something good, boss is supposed to come down here and give me another raise? If you want to get all the accolades and you want to be that, you got to be the boss, I guess. So yeah, we really need to be careful about how we go about rewarding our kids and their behavior. Kid comes to you, he's crying and throwing a fit, and you're like, "Hey, you stop crying, I'm going to give you a cookie." Well, now he's going to throw a fit, hoping you're going to offer him a cookie so he stops. And then you end up with guys like me, complete narcissists who think they're smarter, bigger, better than everybody. Top dog at the shop. And I deserve all the recognition. And that starts from a childhood. It starts from spoiling your kids. It starts from rewarding bad behavior. So parents, this is more of a PSA for you. Be careful on how we go about rewarding our kids, and And kids with ADD, how you need to find what interests them and help them get into that and explore that and find the passion for something. And it's going to change. It's going to change a lot. I used to get into things for 10 minutes. I was like super into it. And I'm like, I'm over that. But something's going to stick. Something's going to stick with that kid that they love, that they enjoy. And you need to encourage it. Reward them with that. You know, for me, it was skateboarding. My mom could have very easily been like, skateboard's mine until you get your homework done. That would have been the biggest motivation. I'm not saying it would have worked. I probably would have just threw a fit or got my hands on a different skateboard or something. But you gotta find what's troubling the kid, and you gotta find how to help them explore what interests them and what's gonna bring them joy. You know, we all want the best for our kids, and throwing cookies to them and buying them new toys isn't how we should parent. We shouldn't parent that way. We need to teach them, and we need to help them through this. And yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. I'm going to do another video, I think, right after this about how we talk to our kids about drug usage, and how honesty, I think, is really important when it comes to this subject, and credibility.